Okay, so I hope we are live, and it takes a bit of time for it to come to the YouTube. So if I am live, you can hear me, see me, and please on the chat box mention hi, hello, anything would be fine. Yeah, Tejas. So I think now I can see you. Wonderful. So welcome to the session. Hi, Haritas, and Manogna, right? Haritas and Rishabh. Good evening to all of you. So the discussion that I have or on time to have probably the next 45 minutes or an hour, I don't know, is about the next 30 days for the CLAT. I'm just hoping that your preparation is going really well. Let me just share my board here. So I'll just use that, which will help me to. I hope you can see me here. So one of the things that I love to do is that when this is getting shared, I will not be able to see your chat in my computer, so I'm going to use my mobile phone to look at the chat. So we are looking at 30 days, and let's get started. What I want to first understand is what kind of concerns you have currently. You can put it on the chat box. I'll try and capture those your issues and concerns that you have currently in those 30 days. That is things that are creating a problem for you. What would be your concerns? So I've got something. So we've got one concern. I've said GK revision is a question. Second question is that I have how to do quants. I'm just writing this down. So hopefully I don't miss anything. Number three, what I can see is logic. I don't know what the concern is logic, but probably the score is improving. Last minute things to keep in mind. Marks fall in GK. So GK revision, we've got GK issue. So you're looking at things to keep in mind in GK. What else? So logic is a problem, quant is a problem. My score is 50 to 60. How can I increase to 90? So okay, so we have got a question. 50 to 60 is my score. How do I move to 90? That's a good question. And what else? So 5 months current affairs would be fine, right? So now we have got a lot many things covered. Which all months would I have to focus on? That's a question. So at the end of the day, I don't know what's going to happen in the paper, but I can give my perspective. What not to do? That's a very good question. What not to do in the last 30 days? That is a good question. So I'll pick that one up. So is month enough for GK? What else? How to increase attempt? So let's look at how do I get my attempt high? What else am I hearing? What is the end date for current affairs? We'll have to look at which all months. So I'm just going to put that and say that for GK in general, what months we have to look at and what is the cutoff date to see. So now you've got issues with respect to time management. That's another thing that I can hear. How to read and comprehend fast. So read slash comprehend fast. And how do I do this? How to increase accuracy, stress management, time management, stress management. I don't know whether you can manage your stress. You have your stress, you have it, but let's hope that how to increase accuracy, how to increase attempt, how to increase accuracy. I'll club that into one chunk. What else? Will the session be available on the channel later? It'll be in the YouTube, right? So it'll not go anywhere. Okay, so I think that I'll probably pick up all the questions. Mocks related concerns, civil are mocks are an issue, scores are fluctuating, things are not happening, and let's say that's another one. How many mocks to give? So how many mocks? So the question is how many mocks one should give? What else I'm hearing? End date for GK is generally November end, so that's a question that is there. How many mocks should give? Balancing pace with comprehension. Okay, again the issue with respect to fast reading and stuff. So what is the review of the consortium sample paper? What can I talk about the sample paper that is given by consortium? Okay, how to manage college in CLAT, fear of selection. Okay, we have got more number of questions. You've got college, is college or school? I'm guessing the college versus CLAT. Maybe you are in your college. Fear of selection. So what to do in these last 3 days? That's something that is already I've written it down. Level of consortium paper. So sample paper, say the consortium paper. So I'll understand scores are stagnant. How to improve score? So I said that's here. How to improve my score? The last day. How will 93 get me to Gandhinagar? Good question. How to deal with elementary mathematics in the past 20? What quant? How to do quants? What is that you have to do with respect to quant? CLAD sample paper analysis. Okay. Flat sample paper analysis is something that, okay, I'll just give my broad sense of sample paper. Some quant session I'm not able to the section mock, but after the mock, okay, after mock. So I've kind of got about 11 sort of questions here, which I think covers many things. I will address these questions and strategies. So the test taking strategy is another one. Test taking strategy. What I'm definitely going to do is to hopefully cover all these issues. All these issues that you have, and if there is anything that is left, I'll probably pick up towards the end. So let me start with so few slides I'm going to use. So I'll address these issues that you're having. I think that at the end of the day, our concern is when I look at this particular chart here, right? These are, we have got 21 national university. If you probably add Delhi to the equation, maybe 22 or 23. I don't know, 20 national university. The problem, of course, that we are looking at is that all these 22 nationalities that we have put together has got 3,071 seat, which then is divided into sort of subcategories and various categories. And there are probably about 63, 64,000 people taking the test. So if I generally compare based on last year's number, there are out of the whatever number, 59,000, close to about 60,000 people taking the test don't have the seats that is available. One problem that I've generally seen with national universities is that there are so many universities, but the number of seats that are there is very, very less. What would be the reason? One of the things that I think that I would want to start with is that imagine you've got the CLAT and you got a rank of, let's say, 60,000, and you would say the 60,000 is a pretty bad rank. Nothing's going to happen with 60,000. But for example, imagine, so you know that the number of seats available is 3,071. Now imagine a rank of 3,072. This is the all seat. I'm not even counting the undeserved seats available. What will happen if I've got a rank of 3,072? Now, one thing that you realize that a rank of 60,000 and a rank of 3,072, the outcome is one and the same, even though the position of these two ranks, out of 60,000, 3,072 will be close to about top 5% out of the 63,000 taking the test. But unfortunately, the outcome is going to be one and the same. So the point that I have to remember, even in these last 30 days, is that if I am preparing, I cannot be preparing for a rank of 4,000. I cannot be looking at a rank of 5,000. I really want my preparation to be for a very high rank. Now, there is no half-hearted measure, therefore, one need to do. We have to go full blown. So that knowing this reality, that we have to look at this, right? We have to ensure that depending on, of course, your category, you've got different scores, but at the end of the day, I cannot be sitting and preparing for a 5,000 rank. If I'm someone prepared doing that, then it would be a complete waste of time. Now, the second is to keep an eye in terms of what would be the likely target that I want to achieve. Now, this particular data is the uh, undeserved category ranks cutoff rank of 2020, which is this line here. That is the 2020 line. This is the orange color. You've got a 2021, which is the yellow color, and we have the 2022, which is blue color. So for reasons we'll discuss later, the level of or the scores that happened in 2020 CLAT is sort of lower compared to the scores that I've seen in the 2021 and 2022 CLAT. So assuming, for example, the level of difficulty of the CLAT in 2022, your test, this is 2022 June, so you're looking at 2022 December, the one that is going to happen. December, assuming the level of difficulty of your test is something that is going to be similar to the level of difficulty of the past two CLAT, then these are the equation. You can see the score, these numbers here, this is 2020, 2021. You're looking at, these are in your 70s, right? So these are the colleges where the score is in your 70s. This is about 74, 75. These are the kind of score we close to about 75-ish. So if you're hitting the score that is very close to about 75 in the CLAT, given the level of difficulty of the CLAT, means that you will get into some national university. Now, if you move forward and then look at the fact that you are in your 80s, so this is probably in your 80s, you're probably getting into some of these middle sort of ranked national university. If you're able to get into a 90s, so it's you're looking at the 90 score, then you're looking at, somebody asked a question, is it possible to get into Gandhinagar with a score of 93? At least last year it was the case. That's the case. And if you want to get into the very top ones, then you're looking at scores which is more than about 100-ish. So 100 plus, and you're looking at a score which is close to about 90s here. So this is, of course, assuming the level of difficulty of the CLAT, which is going to be similar to the ones that we have seen in the last couple of years. Now, given this reality, so this means that the way in which I would want to sort of at this point in time look at my preparation is at least I'm at least somewhere, right? So based on obviously the past story, I'm at least somewhere. At least do I have a chance to be somewhere? And what is that I need to do to get the place that I want to get, given the fact that I still have 30 days? So broadly, the easy way to look at is that if you are able to get 70 plus some NLUs, you're looking at 80 plus sort of mid NLUs, 90 plus the top six, and 100 plus the very top. Okay, so that's like the rough sort of. This helps our conversation move sort of quickly and fast. So I'm just going to put this into these four sort of category. Right now, the question, of course, is where am I today? What am I? Am I in your? Let's look at. I'm just going to put it like this. So let's look at 100 plus. Let's say that is A. I'm probably in my 90s. That let me B. I'm usually in my 80s. I'm in my C. I'm in my 70s. Let's say I'll call D. And let's say I'm less than 70s. Let's say I'm 60s or less. Then I'm just going to put E. So what I want in the chat box is put your usual. And I'm not. Sometimes you go up and down. Usually where you are. Are you in A category? Are you a B category? Are you a C? Are you D? Or are you an E? That's something that I would want to increase. So I've got some people out of B, I've got A, I've got C's, I've got B's and D's and C's and D's, right? C's and D's. So we are currently in this category. So this means that in the sense that your chances in the 70s you're looking at some NLUs, in the 80s you're looking at mid NLUs, in the 90s you're looking at the good ones or the top ones, and on the 100 you're looking at the very top. So those of you are in this category, of course, in E, your job is to ensure that you are moving up as high as possible, get into a position that is possible. Is it possible to get to the 90s? Yes, it is possible. You want to move. And I believe that every single category. So those of you are looking at 100 plus, probably these are not sort of consistently 100. Some of you may be consistently impressed. I'm sure that some of you are like got 100 plus score once in a while and you're very happy that day. But the next mock you took, it went all the way down. I believe that the people who are in B category would be really frustrated. They're preparing really well. Tell me if I'm wrong. You're fighting hard. You want to see the 100. You're looking at everything. I just can't see sort of the 100. You're there and you don't know what the hell is going on. You just want to move and to get to that particular score, right? And 80s again is you're doing all this effort in the last day, and we want to move the direction up, right? So wherever I am, I'm assuming that we have got 30 days. In those next 30 days that we have, I would want to put in effort with the whole and sole objective and the whole and sole purpose. And the only purpose that I have is that I want my score to go up. That's the only purpose. So I have got now 30 days. I don't know how many hours you have per day. How many hours can you spend per day? Just to give a rough sort of idea in terms of what is the total number of hours that we are working with. How many hours is what we have. So I'm just gonna wait for somebody to put in. Is it 4 hours? Is it 5 hours every single day you can put in, or like you're looking at about spending about 8 hours, 6 hours is what I can see. Many sixes. Somebody's going to put 10 hours, 8 to 10. Let's assume that you're able to put about 6 hours, 8 to 10 hours, roughly 9 to 10 hours, 8 hours, 6 hours, 8 hours. So we're looking at what 6 hours is about. I can look at about 180 hours for some of them. The total, maybe some is looking at about 7 hours, maybe about 210 hours. Some looking at 240 hours. So and very few is like, I don't know. Okay, is it possible to put in 10 hours every day? Possible. So we are looking at something probably in the range of 180 to maybe about 240, 250 hours. That is the time that we have. In those time, in that time that we have to set our target. Our target is that I have to do everything to ensure that my score improve. And then we have to understand reality, right? The reality is that in those 30 days, can we do everything? Can we just do everything? We just can't. But we have to do those things that I believe that this is going to be a personal choice, right? That is going to improve my score, right? So let's divide the CLAT. I'm going to divide CLAT. Some are droppers also. I understand that. So where you have still not many time. I'm basically asking those people who have made the decision to sit down and prepare for the CLAT. I don't know whether how many of you really actually put in about 6 hours, 7 hours consistently to the period of time. Some of you did do it, some of you did not do it. But whatever it is, let's forget about what happened in the past. There is no point looking and reflecting on what I should have done, what I could have done, what I would have done. So is that we are looking forward and moving forward, and this is where I am, and this is the next 30 days that I'm with me. What is the best that I can do? And that sort of is the whole thing. Now we're looking at the CLAT. I'm going to divide CLAT into these chunks. One is reading as a section, and the number two as a section, which is a section which is your quantitative technique, and number three as a section which is your con. I'm clubbing all the reading together. It's kind of easy. Reading is that the 30 questions of so you've got English 30 questions, logic 30 questions, and legal 30 questions. I'm putting all this together, clubbing it together because it's about comprehension. Then we have got these 100 marks available. You've got 15 marks available. So then you GK, which is about 35 marks available. This is how I'm going to look at the paper now. So what I want is let me tell you what I want to see now on the chat box is that I would want to see what is your score out of this 100, which is English plus logic plus legal together. What is the score that you're getting here, comma? What is the score out of this quant, out of this 15 you're getting here? And what is your GK score? So if I see, for example, 70, 5, 20, I'm going to interpret that usually I'm seeing 70 in reading and 5 in this. And so I'm looking at into, I want to see the three values. The 70, the first value in your is A, B, C. First value we'll look at is reading, then comma 5, which is okay. So I can see something 5 and okay. Don't put 75 to 80. I don't understand what that means. What I want is A, B, C, right? Instruction. So I'm just going to put something that I can see here. I can see some 75, 20. I can see 75, 15, 5. I hope that you're putting the order in place. The second one is quant. So I can see something like a 70. So you're putting the order. I think the second one I'm looking at is quant, and then I want to see my GK. So I got 65 and 20. I got 85, 13 and 25, which is wonderful. See, that's kind of awesome. I've got 59 and 20. I can see 60, 2 to 3. When I put in 2 to 3, I'm just going to put sort of 0. Okay, I'm just going to say 2 to 3 means for practice was 0, 25. And I'm looking at 70, 10, and sort of 30. Okay. So let's say I've got some 75, 5, and 15. So I've got many of these 45, 0, 45, 0, and 15. So let me go with these numbers. Okay. So I'm going to make my life very simple to say that my job. So you understand is this we looked at that, is that 70 plus going to give me some value. My first sort of target is that by reading alone, but my reading score alone, which is not 100 question from legal and logic and English, should get me here. the reading alone. So I can actually see here, for example, 75 or 85 or 75 or something like 70s and roughly 70s and 70s. By reading alone, I'm by and large ensuring that probably going to get into some NLUs. The problem that I'm going to have with GK. So, for example, there are people. Let me look at someone. Maybe let's look at this student here. Okay, that's 60. That's a zero. That's a 25. Lot many things that you're banking on here, right? For example, lot many things you're banking on something called a GK, and GK is about knowledge, and there are going to be seven events that they're going to give us, each event having 5 questions each. We have no clue or no idea in terms of what those seven specific events would be. If I go with what happened last year, you could see that a couple of events were very vague. Uh, so there is always this chance that out of this is based on knowledge, right? GK is based on knowledge. So what CLAT should ideally do is to look at all the sort of the main events somebody would read these regularly, but we don't know what's going to happen here. Right? While reading or quant is not based on knowledge, right? Quant at the end of the day is a basic mathematics that we look at. Reading especially is not based on knowledge at all. We have got whatever you need to answer the question is there in the passage. That's what reading is. So here, when I'm looking at a situation which is here, what that tells me is that I'm banging on this, and for some reason, if the GK turns out to be very tough, then my score is going to be a problematic. And so my first thing in terms of people who are at 45 and 50s and 60s, I think one of the tasks that we need to have is a task saying that I would want to look at moving my score by another 10. And for that, what you have to do is what you have to do. Maybe, just maybe, it could be merely an issue of managing time better. Is that you are messing up your paper, you're not looking at all the questions, you're getting confused, or maybe it's the issue is somewhere else, right? But whatever that issue is, that's something I want to look at. I will also have this question to ask. What I have with me is 210 hours. Let's assume that I, as a person, is able to do well. My legal score typically is out of this 40. I'm able to get something that is very close to about 35. How many are in this range? Give me a yes. 30, 35, 32, 33, 34. Out in my mock test, out of this 40 in legal, I'm able to get scores which are sort of close to about 30, 32, 35. So CI is saying 30, we are able to get about 30 at 32 and 35. Right? And if you are getting, let's say, 33, like Ishan is saying, 33 and 27 to 30, 30 to 35, yes. Now I have to ask another question. If I'm getting a score of 30 to 35, am I preparing for legal every single day? Or very often, am I solving legal passages on a very regular basis? If the answer to that question is yes, that doesn't make sense to me. I'm already getting something that's like 34, 35 in legal, and I'm not getting high scores in some other area. But for some reason, I've decided that the precious time that I have, I'm going to spend on legal. And I ask that question to myself as to why I would be even doing this. Why would I even try and do this? And the second sort of issue that I have is with respect to reading per se. So one thing that I want is the thing that if, let's say, if reading is sorted and I have a problem somewhere else. For example, in this case, there's 85, there is 25. Why can't this 25 go to 30? Because I can actually see somebody having a score of 30. I can see someone at 75 and 15 and 5. I don't know. Hopefully, this is index. I think that this is probably 5 and this is probably 15. That's what is going to happen. Somebody in this particular case is looking at what am I doing here with GK is 15 and what is going on here. I'm already hitting this. So next journey that I would want to have is the journey of getting in the mid one, adding another 10 is by using quant. Adding another 10 marks with my kitty. Reading is able to get me to about 70, 75. And adding at about 8 to 10 marks, I can get there. And yet there are many people who have still today not touched quant for whatever is the reason. And if you're not going to touch, imagine this, right? You're walking or traveling. You're having this journey. You're having this journey to get in the top school. But reading alone, you have reached, for example, this level, which is about some NLUs. You got a score of about 72, 73. You are there in reading section alone, all the reading. But then quant is 0, which means that quant, you're just stationary. Somebody gave you 15 questions and you are telling them, I'm not going to do those 15 questions. I will not evaluate. I'll stay here. Then how on earth am I going to, and then I'm going to, entire burden is next push, the entire burden is with what? Is with GK. So if I can see someone here, for example, I can see zeros here. I can see another 0 here. I can see 5s here. I can see 5 here. I can see 5 here. Is that this? I can see 5 here. There is, if I want to increase my score, that's my job. That's my objective. Right? And I've got 30 bloody days with me to want to increase my score. Then I essentially need to have some plan to say that I'm even get there. My plan can even be this. For example, the gentleman or lady who was given this is saying that I'm pretty solid at 75. I'm kind of weak, let's say in quant, but I need 20 minutes. If I spend 20 minutes in that section, maybe I can solve it better. Therefore, I can ask the question, how do I give 20 minutes to quant? What should I do to reading so that I can give 20 minutes? Whatever it is. So those are the questions that I want to ask. Not say that I'm going to completely ignore quant and having this journey that I'm going to have. Let's look at 60, 0, and 75. How is this person's journey? 60, 0, 75. The person starts this journey. And then at 60, maybe somewhere very close to the reading section alone, somewhere close, the NLUs are here. The 70 NLUs here. And then in maths, we are not moving. Quantity section happened. We are not moving. We are still there. And then assuming from GK alone, you want to push to about 25, right? So you're putting 25, that's about 85 here. 25 GK is getting there. Why if I push 5, even 5 with maths, I'm pushing 5 overall. My step is getting closer and closer. If I can put from 60 for about 65, maybe to 70, I can push something, another push. Maybe I'm going to push and get into much higher colleges. So the issue that each one of you have to decide today is first of all, given your situation or given your this one, at least identify very clearly from where I'm going to invest the time, because we have tried everything. So that's the time that I want to have. I just want to roughly talk about each of these sections. And people ask me this question about, then I'm going to pick those questions here. I'm going to start with reading. The question that I asked about reading is, okay, logic is one. And should I read fast, right? And people talk about the sample paper, the level of difficulty of the sample paper, and what else with respect to English. So how do I, for example, accuracy attempt, time animal address that. So you've got some of these questions that I can see with respect to reading. But if I look at the last year's paper, and I'm assuming that you've actually gone through the CLAT 2020 paper, CLAT 2021 paper, CLAT 2020 paper. If you've gone through those papers, and if you've seen the sample paper given by consortium, you would probably say that the level of difficulty of the reading section is more or less the same. When I say reading, I'm adding English, logic, and legal is more or less the same. When I generally look at anything comes to reading, the challenge that we have is, number one, is the topic that we read, right? If the topic is not familiar to us, then maybe we have a little bit of challenge. Let's look at word. How long the sentences are means that if there are more number of sentences, I'll have to read more. And then how dense it is. I'm going to use this formula, which is called the Flesch-Kinger grade level, to look at how dense. It just uses this formula. A grade of 10 means that a 10th standard student should be able to read it. A grade of the 12, 13, 14, 15 will be sort of higher, dense passages with long sentence construction, which I'm sure that you're used to, because most of the legal passages are very dense. And that's what it is. And then the type of questions that is given to me. For example, maybe the type of question and options. So when I look at CLAT 2022, the one that happened, I look at the English reading section, the word length is high: 488, 576, 502, 585, 549, and 522. And some of them has got animal rights, social activity, fossil fuel, public speaking, cryptocurrency, and very sort of very wide variety. And some of these passages were dense, definitely, some of this. But if you generally look at the questions, right, the big picture questions are questions which ask you the main idea and the primary purpose, tone, those things, vocabulary-based questions, fact-based questions, and then inference-based questions. When you actually look at this, So these questions, the big picture question, for example, you've got 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. These 8 questions is based on your overall understanding of the passage, right? If you understand the passage broadly, you'll be able to get these 8 questions correct. The vocabulary based question, more or less, would not require too much of support from the passage unless you want to look at some sort of context, which is about 3, 4, and 5. And there are these fact based questions and inference based. Even if inference based questions, it is none of the options, for example, in the English section last year were very difficult. It was not. It's just that you had to read a little more. But then, if you look at English in isolation, that's a problem. But if I then go ahead and look at the logic, on the other hand, you had passages which is last year 217, 251, 182, 248, 236, and 230 words. What do they tell me? Is that here, so if you look at the passages here, 585 passages, that's like almost 200 plus 200 plus 200. That's equivalent to reading 3 logical reasoning questions. And in logical reasoning as well, all these questions, inference, assumptions, new evidences, your strengthening, weakening questions, and application question, this is supposed to be logical reasoning. Your big picture questions, which is supposed to be the main idea type of question, and fact-based question is a not. And this is why is it called logic? Why am I saying that I have a problem with logic or anything? And even if I look at the logical reasoning section of the CLAT last year, it was not very difficult. Right? It wasn't. So it will probably reflect very similar to the level of difficulty that you see in the sample test. Let's go back, sort of look at our legal. So the word limit, at least last year, was 216, 46, 272, 243, 240, 288. And even in legal, one is a fact principle question, then what you see is principle is given, and then principle, of course, in the past, and then you have got fact. And you have got close to about 10 questions here. This is 9, approximately 10 questions. Out of the 40 questions is like reading comprehension. So reading comprehension is practically 10 of legal. This is practically reading comprehension 30. But as 30, 70 was reading comprehension. I'm not suggesting that the CLAT is going to stick to this one, but in overall you look at it, right? Overall look at it. Maybe you take a little extra time in English, right? Because you have got little to read, but you won't take that much time in logic. So one sort of skill set is needed, and none of these require you to read very fast. So the question about me having to read fast is irrelevant. I don't have to read fast. The problem is that when we read passages, right? When we read passages, my purpose today, for many of you who have got issues with reading, the purpose that we have is to finish reading it. That's the purpose that we keep in our head. And because of whatever is a time that I don't have, we worry. That should not be a purpose. Purpose is to merely understand the passage, read at the pace of a comprehension. There are not enough stuff that is there anyways for you to read. And what someone should have done when you get sort of the paper in the beginning, right? So when you get on the CLAT day, when you have the paper, right? The first thing that you would do is read the instruction first. Reading the instructions will allows you to have sort of warm up. And then when the invigilator tells you to sort of open the paper, don't open it, I'm going to open it. Open the paper. And the first thing is just go through the pages. You get the feel of what the English looks like, how many words, how long it is. You can feel the logic here. You can feel, okay, this is the broad paper. In which case, you have to check whether every page is printed. It's a matter of 2 to 3 minutes. In about 2 minutes, you understand, okay, I get a sense, broad sense, not a complete sense, but at least a broad sense in terms of what I'm going to encounter. And here, if I have got a problem with reading, the problem could be simply that I am either not understanding or maybe it's because of behavior merely. Is that I'm reading very fast, I'm probably looking at the question, getting confused, or maybe getting stuck in questions just because I read the passage. I have to answer every single question, even the question is very confusing. So you have got some behavior. So the way in which I would want to decide on spending, and mind you, we've got this 30 days with us. If I have a problem, if I don't have a problem, then I don't have a problem. For example, somebody is already about 85 and 75. If let's say you are addressing something, you're addressing with a purpose, saying that, okay, this is something that I want to address. I want to move my score from 70 to 80. For that, I know that this is what I need to do. If you can identify that, then you do that. Otherwise, you're telling yourself, okay, I've got other problem to worry about. So let me at this point in time say that, okay, I'm going to look at 70. On a good day, I'm going to get 75. But let me push my quant and I have to make those decisions. And obviously there are some of you who are at 50s and let's say 60s, for example. This is a person in 60s and 45, and then we have to address this. How do I address this? The way which I want to address is not, I think a lot many people say that keep on doing new things. Why should I do new things? For example, in reading, I think many of you have problems in logic, but if you look at the actual logic question that came in the CLAT and also in the sample paper, you realize that is manageable. But what I need to do is not try and, for example, in reading, I've already solved, let's say, 100 logical reasoning sets. I've solved 100 logical reasoning sets, and my score has not improved. I've solved 100 sets. My score has not improved. Therefore, what is my solution? Is to do 100 more. But last 100 didn't improve your score. Why would the next 100 improve your score? This idea that I'll keep on doing things, my score is going to improve, is sort of, at least something like English is going to be myth. In GK, yes, because yes, it's definitely going to help, because the more you do, the better it's going to be, because it is knowledge-based one. So I would want just to go back, and if I have a problem, so you've got the papers. I think in reading, the only thing that I want to look at is, let's look at, I've got 2020 paper, 2021 paper, 2022 paper, sample test 1, sample test 2. There are sample tests available of previous years as well. So you're looking at how many questions? You're looking at 100 questions, 100 multiplied by 5 tests. That itself is bloody 500 questions. Those who we have got issues in reading, right? I'll probably go back and maybe even refer to. Let's say I've got an issue with this. I will want to go back and refer to maybe, I don't know, the first mock test that I took or the second mock test that I do. I don't want to do unnecessarily new things, because A, I don't have time, and second of all, I don't need to do unnecessary stuff. I need to completely understand, is my level of whatever I'm doing is aligned to the actual client. Number one, if that is happening, then where is the problem, right? And then if there are some issues, so what are we looking at? We're looking at probably doing about 100 sets, maybe, roughly. Each set is going to take, each of the sets here itself is probably going to take what, about 5-10 minutes. In one hour, you want to do a little bit of evaluation of it. Let's say 1 hour, you can do about 4 sets. You can do about 100 tests. It's about 10-15 hours. If you have any problem, then out of these 300 hours, you want to dedicate and say that I'm going to look at maybe about 15 to 20 hours on my preparation for this reading. For those of you who have no problem with this, you are anyway taking the mock test, and then you keep on taking the mock test, and then you have to understand your behavior, and that should be good enough, and not doing anything unnecessary stuff. Right? So that is with respect to your reading. And the second question that I keep getting is with respect to which one? GK. And from which month to which month will you solve? So we'll say Jan, Feb, March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November, and December. This is our 2022. Where do we start and where do we end? What, ladies and gentlemen, is the plan that I have? And I would want to understand from here, what is a plan that we have? Which month to which month? I'm just going to open the live chat and which month, which month? Where are you going to start? Where are you going to end? I think that we have got next 30 days. I'm assuming that you're already doing something on a regular basis. You've been reading stuff. So which one? Jan 2022 to December 22. I'm going to start with Jan till going all the way to December. Somebody saying that is number one. Jan till December. Somebody's going to go from June till December. So July till December. Okay, we have got a lot many stuff. June till November, we've got that. May till November, we've got someone. Okay, whatever the, but first of all, those of you saying that I'm going to start with January, didn't the last CLAT happen in June last year? No, June May CLAT happened. No, June only, June, right? June, right? Last CLAT, but they would have already tested all this, no? These months, no? Why am I going all the way? Plus plus, and I'm saying that somebody wanted to do in December. This is a paper-based test, right? The paper has to be printed, right? How many days would it take to print the paper? Now, once they print it, I'm sure that they have to distribute across India. It's good. So in the month of, it'll take time. Would they do? Are they going to do last minute distribution of paper to GG Praxe? Will they be careful printing all this? And when will the paper get stuck? Why would I have to do December? I don't know. Thirdly, I'm guessing every month there is about every month there are about 5 events. 5 events happen per day. I'm saying the CLAT like event. I don't know what is the number. I'm guessing that for every event is 5 to 10 days. I know 10 events per day. I don't know how many events happen. You know better. But I'm just looking at my logic about 10 events. I'm also guessing that to get a depth analysis of each of this event, I have to do one and then do the second revision and the third revision. I'm also guessing that I probably will have about have to spend I have to spend maybe about 30 minutes, 40 minutes, 1 hour per event. Nay, what to spend at least. So you're looking at some event. So assuming I have to do to get in depth, for example, Dhruv is saying consortium कुछ भी कर सकता है after looking at the previous paper. Yes, Dhruv, कुछ भी कर सकता है. To handle this, 1 hour, which means that every event I take 1 hour. So those who are deciding I'm going to start from January, that is 30 days multiplied by 12 months, to 12 months multiplied by on an average, I believe somebody is saying about 100 events. This is the 30 days multiplied by 12. That is number of days. Every day I'm counting about 5 events, and each event takes me 1 hour. That's the total number of hours that I need. I think let me just count 10 days, 30 days, 10 months. That is 300 days. Every event is 5. Every day 5 events, 1,500 events. In 1 hour, I need to have 1,500 hours. What is the time that we have? What is this? I have 180 hours. I have 210 hours. I have 240 hours. But my plan of action is, you're telling me that the whole thing. Second of all, you have any clue what event they will ask? Any idea? I mean, you can sit here and say these are important events, but what is important? Important for whom? Important for what? And you've got Sai Sheikh Sakit saying 3 topics a day is most that could happen. Who's saying 3 topics a day? Who knows? And we're attempting at this point in time, telling ourselves that I'm going to start from, let's say, some bloody months in this. Let me actually look at what happened last. This is the events of last year, right? Russia Ukraine, what main event? Of spas, something a main event, some couple of things is random, right? And within the event, they ask current affairs and then history of the event, the fact of the event. Let me actually talk about this, right? So in 2020, the CLAT was an online test. The CLAT was supposed to happen in the month of May 1st. Because of Corona, it got shifted to June. Then it got shifted to July. Then it got shifted to August. Then finally, it got shifted to the month of September. And those 7 events, eventually, it was an online test. So there is no printing business. Out of the 7 events, 2 events came from September, 3 events of August, 1 from July, 1 from June, and ladies and gentlemen, okay, let's look at 2021. The examination happened in the month of July, which is in fact a paper-based test. What? 4 events from March, 1 from February, 1 from January, 1 from December. Sure. The last, yeah, this one, the examination happened here. 2 from March, 2 from February, 1 from Jan, another is 2. I must obviously add, there is no setting as event of a month. I'm barely saying that they picked the article from that month. Obviously, Russia-Ukraine war is happening and it's still happening. Even just moves. Right? So though there is an event which is there at 4, I'm sure that there could be questions pertaining to the last one. And also it's current affairs, right? In current affairs, they tend to ask questions which is closer. And at this point in time, I would say, so I'm not going to make any recommendation here. Let me put it this way. Otherwise, you guys come and tell me, Gejo sir told me this, I did this. I'm going to do, this is me, right? I'm preparing, if I were preparing for CLAT, given the fact that I've got 300 hours with me and I need to do my best and I am forced to take gambles. I just can't do everything. I am forced to take gamble. How do I take gamble? I'm basically going to look at gamble and say that, look, I'm going to just look at the previous data. And I tend to believe that I probably will, just to be safe, I'm going to go till November 15th, right? 1 month before the examination. To me, August, October, September, August, and July seems to be sort of very, very important for me, right? And in my preparation, I'm going to start from here and go in this direction, because I know me personally is that already read almost every single day. I've been reading, so I understand stuff. So most of the time, it's mostly for me revision. Unlike unless I am in the category of those of you who are sitting here, and I don't know where are you? Let me look this way. You have got a 15 and all, right? Otherwise, I'm someone who has kind of been very regular, reasonably okay. So when it comes to the mock test, out of the 7 events that is given to me, I tend to know about 5, sometimes 6. But the only problem is within each of these events, the five question that is given to me, I tend to know 3 to 4. One I don't know. Okay, so I'm about 15, 20. So I would want to move in this direction from October onward. And most of the events are very, very national importance events, central government sort of desi event that happens. Unless, of course, it is the other events are the Ukraine or the international events, but events which are huge impact. I'm going to maybe look at month end or refer to my faculty and look at some topics. I'll probably can have say that somebody says that maybe there are some in these hot events uh, and the hot events, very hot, I believe, whatever is your warm ones, which are like okay, so sort of cool ones. It's like thanda events. Some will be huge. So out of the event, I'm going to probably make a bet and create this list. And then I say that maybe I have to look at every single month, maybe about 100 events. And or let's say somebody says about 100 events per month. Is I really want to focus on rest of the event. I'm going to do one bit of reading, and that's what I'm going to do for my GK. That's the best that I can do. Now, if the GK turns out to be as obscure as it was last year, or maybe the GK they ask events from let's say January and I don't know last year and crazy events. You know what my response would be? I'll be thrilled because I know I cannot answer this question, but I also know the rest of the Janta also cannot answer. If public cannot answer, what is the point? Where is the problem? I mean, you can understand as to why what this created, right? Imagine the kids who were preparing in the month of the year 2020, prepared for GKS solidly, October, November, December, January, February. Exam kept on getting postponing, kept on getting postponing. They were preparing month after month. Eventually, who expected that out of the 7 years, 5 events will be from 2 months of August and September? Who would even imagine? It's an online test, right? But the exam they just picked up events. So then you know that naturally what would have happened. Naturally, stuff what would have happened is that this particular score here came down to whatever you can see, and probably they've got some issues in some of the questions as well. Why is that? I'm actually saying only 100. Right? If you actually look at the CLAT 2022 paper, CLAT 2022 paper, and I'm sure that a lot of you have seen the CLAT 2022 paper, you will notice that it is quite possible to get about 70 to 80 when it comes to reading. It also very possible to get about 10 to 12 when it comes to quant. So with both of them put together, I think that was very possible to get something like 92. Yet why is that? Or maybe about 90, or maybe about 80. Why is that? The Bangalore cutoff was about just 100. Why didn't people get 30s and 35s, 30 scores? People did not get the score of 30s in GK. If let's say but GK turned out to be very obscure, why am I psyched out? And how can I ever prepare for an obscure GK section? How do I prepare? There are so many events that is happening around the world. They're gonna ask some 7 events. What is a sensible thing that I can do in the next 30 days? Realizing that it's humanly impossible for me to do everything. And what the sensible thing that I want to do is that I know these are the hot events, and that's what I'm going to spend. And in preparing for GK, is that you may require a little more time, right? You may require extra time, but GK is also not sort of an event where you have to sit and mug. It is like you're putting information, right? And I'm sure they've done it. So if I have to take out 10 minutes, 1 hour extra for my GK. So I've got lot many stuff to do and I have to do GK. I cannot skip GK. If I had 1 extra minute, that is what? A 10 minute, 6 times, that's enough. That is 1 minute. It's a question of me instead of maybe looking at social media, just reading stuff. Or before going to bed, I'm sleeping and I'm probably opening YouTube and current affairs per day, listening to the video, and then going to sleep. It's about while I'm eating, I'm just going to open some GK and reading. I'm going to eat, deep, maybe in the loo even. I'm going to do GK. Who's stopping you? And if let's say if I have someone here who's listening to me, and for example, at this category, right? So I know this one is 85, 13, and 25. You got 13, you got 25. Let's push this. And you've got someone at 75, 5, and 15. What the hell is happening? What is this? Some of you maybe even 10. So you have to push. And GK is something that it's unfortunately, it is purely based on knowledge. Since it is purely based on knowledge, you have to do it. So all my suggestion is, I'm saying me, if I'm preparing, I just can't. This is what the best that I could do. If eventually if somebody is gonna ask a question of May or maybe I don't know January last year or obscure or maybe 5 million years ago GK, all right, so be it. And I'm fairly certain that I cannot be preparing obscure GK, but I'll do prepare for something that is sensible. I'll have to get that even done. Maybe even revising about 10 events per day, 20 events per day. That's something that I got to do. Something I've got to do. And if you have already been very solidly looking at GK and GK is a fun activity for you, this makes sense. But this is something that I would recommend for GK. Okay. Let me talk about quant. And I want to talk about quant because for some reason, for many of us, right, we started on the first day of preparation for CLAT. We told that I will do quant tomorrow. QT is very cute, so tomorrow. The tomorrow came, I will do it tomorrow. And tomorrow, here we are. How many chapters are there in quant? Let me tell you, what all chapters are there in quant? How many chapters are there in quant? Percentage. There are 4 chapters in quant. There are 4 chapters or 4 things that you need to understand. The chapter number 1 is addition. Chapter number 2 is subtraction. Chapter number 3 is multiplication. Chapter number 4 is division. Is there anything else? You look at, let's say, okay, there is some geometry, and I think these are the 4 things. I don't know how many of you have even looked at the how many of you even looked at the previous what is percentage? Percentage multiply. What division only know? You're looking one of these operations. You're probably are given some data based on some case let or some chart is given. You're looking at the chart, interpreting the chart, and solving this question. It's crazy for me. It's like saying consortium is telling you, please come to NLU. Please come. I'm going to give you 150 questions. Solve these 150 questions and then come to us. You're like, get lost. Get I don't need 150 questions. I only need 135. 15 you keep. Unnecessarily printed the paper. No, unnecessarily printed it. Keep it now. What is this? What logic is this? And because you've mentally seen this, so if let's say, if the only thing that I want to do is what best I could do in quant, these are usually after percentages, ratios, okay. But eventually it is about these four operations. What else is there? You I think even if let's say area, it's still multiplication. Volume, it's still multiplication. You will understand these things. No, basically it is just only, yeah, you're doing this activity with numbers. What is percentages, or you can call it ratios. Eventually it is addition, subtraction, multiplication, arithmetic. Arithmetic is all about these four operations. So all I let's say is that I'll do 50 sets. That's it. Right. I mean, what would have happened is that I've taken a mock test. I'm not even after the mock test, I've not even gone back and even looked at the math question. Didn't even look at it. I want to go to Bangalore. How? So this is what you do. Let's at least starting with 2020, 2022, sample test one, sample. And let's do that. 3 sets each. I think one of the paper has got one bad one, wrong one. 3 into 5 is 15 set. I'm sure that you have taken about what 10 to 20 marks at least. Each mock has got the 3 questions. That's about 60. That's about 75 odd sets. That's it. In 1 hour, maybe I'll probably have to solve 3 sets because I have to practice, solve. I have to look at it. But let's just do this. And if the day when you're deciding on quant, don't add anything else. GK obviously is happening every single day. Right? Don't say that morning I will do GK, afternoon quant, and then I will do legal today. Nah. Quant is not happening. You start and say, I'm going to do. No. If you have a problem, today is the day to address the problem. And the day I have to dedicate this one very day, I'm going to dedicate for quant. That's it. What do we need? At the end of the, what is that we need to get to the story that I want? What is that we need? I need from reading. Get a score that is close towards 70, reaching the position that I'm going to hear. That reading. Add another 5 to 8 marks and go to places like this with the quant. Add another 5 to 8 marks. And then with about 20, 30, 25, I'll probably reach the position that I want to reach. And if today I can imagine some of you here is already with getting a score of 80, 85 in reading alone. Reading alone is 80, 85, which means reading is already pushed you here. And if I don't take the help of quant, right, I need quant. Imagine I'm going to get 10 more in quant. I'm already there. I have to go. I have to tell Bangalore, keep the door open. I'm coming. You have to say. And it's a question of just being sensible in the 30 days and doing stuff that you believe, and you still have 30 days, right? Lot of time to align your preparation in such a manner and give your best. That's what you're going to do. That's what you need to do. And those of you having problem with managing time management issue is very simple, right? Time management typically happens in reading. So I don't think that there is any time management issue with respect to, let's take quant and GK. There is no time management issue with GK. Either you know or you don't know. Unless until you stuck in a question and going, I think I remember this, it's not coming out. What is that? You do all stupidity. It's about there's no issue. Time management. Quant, you have got saying that, okay, whatever is the issue with time management, that's you can't do anything about it. So you have to, if let's say you take 10 minutes to solve a particular set, some of you will have 5 minutes, whatever it is, it's maybe about approximation or stuff like that. And hopefully by doing the 50 sets, you will learn a few things. I think largely it's going to be with respect to reading. The problem with reading is that I've got a passage which has got this 5 question, another passage. So there's a passage followed by 5 question, another passage followed by these 5 questions, another passage followed by these 5 questions, and so on and so forth. And you've got a lot of passage to read. What you do is that you obviously read the passage. Let's take, for example, logical reasoning, 200 words, what, 1.5 minutes. So you read this pen in passage about 1.5 minutes. Okay, some of you maybe 2 minutes, but 2 minutes, 1.5, 2 minutes. And for example, reading comprehension 500 words, maybe about 3 minutes, or maybe 4 minutes at the end. You spend this. You go to question number 1. Answer choice, chuck, 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 pick me. You marked it. In about 15 seconds, you solved question number 1. You went to question number 2, 20 seconds, 15, 20 seconds, you did it. But question number 3, the options were very confusing. And what you did is that you decided to go to the passage, come back again, you stand there, thought about it, think about it. You don't want to leave the question. Just don't want to leave it because in your head, you are saying, I read this passage, so I have to waste time in the question. Yeah, that's my logic. Why are you sitting here? Because I read this passage. Now, passage will feel very bad. You can leave it. All I need is to get stuck here because I'm in that passage, in the question, I would have spent 2 minutes. Over, your time management is gone. What I should have done, tell myself, I'll come back to you later. And bar me. In 15 seconds, I make decision to skip and move to the next one. And let's say 4, skip maybe 5 because it's confusing. I am out and I'm here in the next passage. My marks are coming from questions. My marks are not coming from passages. It is not that passage. It's about having this discipline, your good behavior, not getting stuck in questions. Whatever I say, this people, it's somehow you just can't do it, right? You just can't. So you have to read the passage, and then what happens? You read the passage fast. You're reading the paragraph passage. You're reading like Eminem. You're rapping. Let's say you are like we are the rap artist, the goat. We rap. We are in the middle of the second paragraph. Almost we see where am I? What was they reading? Really? Your purpose. Keep it simple. When you read this, there is whatever is to answer this 5 questions. It's solely based on the knowledge that you gain from this passage, and you have to treat the passage with respect. I'm not asking you to read very slow. I'm read at the pace of a comprehension. Read it with respect. Understand the passage. You'll be able to knock out the question. This is something that you can do, and that discipline is what you have to gain. So, if at all you're taking the mock test or section test, you have to focus on a behavior because I know for a fact that during the test, your score is X. But after the test, when you realize your reading is that it's actually X plus Y. During the test, you are getting a score of 50, 60. But after the test, when you look at the question once again, you say that I actually can get about 75. If that is the case, why am I studying more? Why am I studying more? After the test, I look at this and saying that if I had management time better, I would have got a score of 75 in the reading out of the 100, 75, 80. Then what is the point in studying more? You would have your better behavior in the test. And that's what you need to do. It doesn't matter which order in which you're taking the test. It's sections. First of all, I don't understand why there is a section for CLAT. There is no sectional time limit. There's no sectional cutoff. And there are questions. 150. It doesn't matter whether you start with GK or any with this, and whether you do these or whether it doesn't matter according to me. What matters is that you're making the sensible decision. So here is something that I would simply do. Is that A, identify. So you've got, first of all, identify reading. GK is going to be a crucial one. We have got 20 a day or even a day that I want to look at, revise it, take as much time I can get. I will make it very sensible. October to wherever, July, back. I'm going to cover as many events as possible, doing more and more revision. That's one activity I would want to do. And let's say other areas, whether it is QT or reading. If I got issue in this, I'm going to pick up the 2020 till 2022 paper that is available, and sample test 1, sample test 2, and mock ones. I'm just going to do those questions, and just I know how to solve this question. And if you are reading an issue, it's the same thing. I would just want to do this, and that's all I want to do. This might take a bit of time here. You don't have to do everything. And then when it comes to mock test, how many mocks? Mocks is what? Mocks is not going to give you any extra bit of marks or anything, just to ensure maybe what? In a week, 1 mock. That's like, so that is like 2 less. But what else you want to do? Yeah. What else? You want to spend, if I'm, let's say, solving mock every single day, right? Imagine, so those of you are like, every day I will do mock. Explain this to me. You don't have any problem. Let's assume that someone who don't have any problem with reading, don't have any problem with quantity, your problem with GK. You are taking a 2-hour mock test. In those 2 hours, you have spent almost 1 hour, 50 minutes on these 2 sections, which you're already comfortable with. You should have probably spent the 2 hours on preparing with GK. No. You have to, if I'm taking the test, it makes sense. I have to decide whether I want to take section test. Sometimes I'll decide, okay, I would want to ensure that I want to give a little more time for quant. to give a little more time for quant. I just want to ensure that I can look at this. Is it possible for me to make better decision, skip a few questions, and so that I can give a little more time to quant? So that towards the end, if I can give 25 minutes, let's say for quant, I probably will get another 5 more marks. If we get another 5 more marks without impacting the rest of the score, would it work? I would probably say, okay, maybe a section test, maybe a mock test. And whatever the test that I'm going to do, I will do analysis at the end of it. And that is what I would do. Make it absolutely sensible. Know that you've got 30 days, and that's a lot of time. And make super solid plan that is planned for you. Create tasks. Let's say this is a 10 task. Let's say I've got tasks today. These are the 2 to 3 things I want to do. List down the task and then keep achieving the task every single day. Make it task based. Don't say that for 2 hours I'm going to study this, 3 hours I'm going to study this. No, just say these are the 3 things I want to do today. These are the things I want to do today. And just be stick to it. And it eventually doesn't matter whatever is the score that you're getting in the mock test. It may be up, it may be down. What really matters is on the day that you are at your best behavior. You are at your best behavior, and that behavior with that behavior you will do well. That, ladies and gentlemen, is what I thought I will share with you. I hope this made sense. Now, does that make sense? So, good, sir. Hopefully, you are doing good, sir. In consortium sample paper, I scored a raw score of 97. Will it be able to crack the examination? Yeah, yeah, it's good. So you like I was discussing, like what I was discussing, focus on the area where we're going to improve. I'm scoring a 18 consortium mocks. Is there any hope for me? Obviously, there's going to be hope for you. What kind of question is that? Hope is there. Hope is something that we have, and you have to just look at do all the question. I'm guessing that तुम्हारी either the reading में problem हुआ होगा या तुम्हारा maths में problem हुआ होगा. GK में नहीं होगा शायद. So break it down and say that am I getting close to about 75ish in my reading? Am I able to get about 8-10ish in my maths? So, sir, is it possible to increase 15-20 marks with the time left for reading and GK? Of course it is. So GK में क्या है? GK is so 15-20 marks is what? 15 to 20 marks. But it all depends upon the fact that so you've got a test score, right? That is under time pressure. You have to look at what is the score that you can get without any time pressure. So it will be a combination of you managing the test better, to improving a couple of skills here and there, and putting effort. That's what it is. So it's going through GK question of previous prime mock series helpful. Of course it is, no. So previous prime mocks in CDCs of those months will be absolutely crucial and helpful because they have picked up good events, right? So you can, that is one source of taking event. Ensure that you do all the important months, whatever is a period of time that we discussed in that, whatever is a prime mocks and CDCs, whatever in came, that should be added to the kitty. I'm not saying that is going to be exhaustive, but that definitely that's all. Quant is 0. That's it. सर काउंट मॉक्स परसेंटाइल रेंज क्या होना चाहिए? दैट इज कुछ नहीं होना चाहिए ध्रुव, क्या है ये तो मॉक ही तो है, कुछ भी हो सकता है, व्हाट डज इट मैटर. हम सब अपना स्कोर में फोकस कर लेते हैं ना, परसेंटाइल छोड़ दो फॉर द टाइम बिंग, स्कोर में कर लेते हैं ना. सो दिस इज it's kind of what is it? Let me drink some water. So please bring up a class most important GK topic for CLAT 2023. 2023, you know, which is this one. Okay, let's see. Sir, I'm not able to give my best, although I'm after appearing, when I appear once again, increasing how to. Yeah, that's what I'm saying, Rizal. It's about your temperament while taking the test. Keep it chill, right? I think it's important to keep the confidence and say that I know I have got the capability, and I know on the day of the test I will do well. That's the thing that I can keep in mind, and so have that mentality and keep focusing on the specific thing that you want to do, and things should be fine. Sir, will you be in Ahmedabad on 19th for race to 9 LLU session? I'm not coming to Ahmedabad. I'm going to Hyderabad and Bangalore. If someone is in Bangalore, Hyderabad, I'm probably going to say the same thing for about the first 1.5 hours. So my colleague Rahul Reddy would be there also in Ahmedabad, so you can make it. Okay, bye bye. It was fun. Hopefully, I'll come back. Let's do a 15 days. In the last 15 days, last couple of weeks, I'll come back again. Let's see where you are and the whole thing. Sir, how to tackle passages with abundance of difficult word? Well, ठीक है, you read the passage later, है ना? Vladimir. So if it is going to be a difficult word, so you chuck the passage and move to the next one, and towards the end you read the passage. So raise to NLU for online students. Yeah, okay, yes. So I'll get back this up. Yeah. So this is something that I'll immediately handle. Okay. You suggest to get the passage at one reading. You try and get the passage in one reading. If not, you'll get most of the passage in one reading. You read at the pace. That's what you do, right? I don't think that you read newspaper twice or thrice just to understand everything. You don't watch a movie unless it is some Inception or some crazy movie. You don't watch the movie twice or thrice to understand the movie. You just do it once and gather as much as possible. Go to the question. If the question only forces you to come back, you can always come back and do the test. All right. Chalo. With that, have a great time. Go and study, and I'll see you soon. Bye bye.